So I'm currently in Whistler up in British Columbia, Canada, and for the past week, I've been doing some testing with the new firmware on the Mavic 3 Pro. Now this new firmware is available on all Mavic 3 drones, so Mavic 3, Mavic 3 Cine, Mavic 3 Classic, Mavic 3 Pro, Mavic 3 Pro Cine, probably forgot one, but no matter which Mavic 3 you have, it's going to be compatible. Now let me say that there's a lot of new awesome changes made, but there's one feature that for me has completely changed the way that I've been filming with this drone. Now to give you a quick top-down view, these are all the changes that have been made in this firmware update for the Mavic 3. Some of them only apply to the Mavic 3 Pro because they're changes made specifically to the 3x medium tele camera. But again, most of these range across the entire Mavic 3 line of drones. If you want, go ahead and take a quick screenshot of these changes so that you can go over them yourself. But now we're going to go through them one by one a little bit more in depth. Now, the first change introduced, Vision Assist, completely changes the way that I fly my drone. Like now when I'm out and about, I miss it whenever I fly any other drone, whether it's the Air 3, whether it's the Mini 3, even the Inspire 3, because it is such a game-changing feature. So Vision Assist basically allows you to use the vision cameras, the obstacle avoidance cameras, to see what's around the drone at any time. So now in the bottom left corner, I can swipe between the map view, the compass view, and now the new Vision Assist view. In fact, I could even blow that up and make it full screen if I wanted to, and from here I can look in front of the drone, to the left, to the right, and even behind the drone without actually having to move. So again, we're using the obstacle avoidance cameras around the outside of the drone. The reason that this is so helpful is because now if I'm orbiting, let's say to the left of a building, I can now see what's directly to the left of my drone while keeping my camera maintained on the subject and not wondering if I'm going to accidentally crash. Now, not only is it helpful for those orbit shots, but also if I wanted to do a reveal shot of this hotel where I flew backwards to reveal the mountain behind it, I'd be flying blind essentially because I don't know what's behind my drone. Now, up at this altitude, I probably am not going to run into anything, especially out here. There's not much that's 360 feet high, but it gives me peace of mind knowing that I can glance in the bottom left corner and know exactly what's behind my drone. Now, you can also look forwards if you wanted to, which at first I thought was a little bit weird. Like, why would I want to look forwards with my drone when I can just use the actual color camera and see a nice stabilized image? But imagine you're looking straight down, following, say, a ravine. You can now see what's directly in front of your drone. So if there's any buildings, power lines, towers, or anything in front of you, you can see that without having to actually pitch your camera up and continue to get that shot. Now, what I really like is that this is a mindless feature. I don't need to think because anytime I move the drone in a different direction, it'll automatically show me that camera. So as I move to the left or to the right or any which direction, that little yellow line starts to move in the direction and switches me to that camera automatically. This is one of those features that I didn't know I needed until it existed, until DJI put it into the Mavic 3, and now when I go back to any other drone that I'm flying, whether it's the Air 3 or the Inspire 3, I feel like I'm flying blind because I'm so used to now being able to look directly to the side of my drone when I'm capturing an orbit shot. Now, even though it's not the most stabilized image, and even though the dynamic range honestly kind of sucks between the sky and the dark ground, it still gives you that understanding of what's there in the way. For me, I really do rely on the obstacle avoidance of the Mavic 3 because it's so good, because it has the omnidirectional sensor, so it's looking in every direction, but letting me see what's actually there is nice because, again, it gives me that peace of mind. Now, moving on here, we have 3 new augmented reality tools built into the Mavic 3 that help with navigation. So first up, we have AR return to home route. So now, whenever you hit return to home, or whenever the drone is going through that return to home process, it'll show you its route displayed on the screen using an augmented reality green beam almost. So it's like a green trail through the sky that it's going to follow to go back to the home point. Now, again, as I mentioned, I trust the obstacle avoidance wholeheartedly here in the Mavic 3. It's bailed me out a lot of times. It really does do a good job at picking up on those obstacles, but now that I can actually see where it's going to fly, it just gives me much better peace of mind knowing the drone is going to return to home safely. Now, when I'm out here in the wilderness flying my drone, I'm usually not worried about return to home because I'm usually flying up above the trees, so there's not any obstacles in the way. But when I'm back at home in Philadelphia and doing, say, a real estate shoot of a condo building in the city, it can be difficult with all the different obstacles around me, from the buildings to the towers to the cell towers to the power lines to anything that's going on in the city. So now that I can see where the drone is actually flying, it's going to give me much better peace of mind. Now, the next augmented reality tool is the AR Homepoint, which now shows you where your home point is displayed on the screen at all times. So if I'm facing away from the home point, it'll show it kind of towards the bottom of the screen, but as I rotate and face towards that home point, it'll actually show me exactly where I took off from. Now, I've always told people that when you kind of lose your situational awareness and you can't figure out where your drone is, the best way to bring it back home is not only to use return to home, but if you wanted to do it manually, you could go to the map and find the red line. That red line is a straight path directly from your drone to the home point. So you can just angle your drone along that red line, fly straight, and then your drone will be back to its home point. But now you don't even need to use the map, and you can see it displayed on your home screen at all times. Now, this actually isn't an entirely new feature in DJI's drones. It's been in their enterprise drones, like the Mavic 3 Enterprise, the M30, and the M300 for the longest time, but it really is a nice safety feature to have, so I'm glad that they brought it over to the Mavic 3 here, and I hope that they continue to bring it throughout their entire line of consumer drones. Now, the final augmented reality tool is AR Aircraft Shadow, which shows where the drone is going to land as you're coming down to the ground. So at about 50 to 60 feet, you'll actually see a small aircraft icon pop up, and it shows you exactly where the drone will land on the ground. Now, I've always used the crosshair sort of as my makeshift AR Aircraft Shadow, because you notice that that lines up perfectly with the shadow, but now we can get a sense of like how wide the drone is by using this shadow and understand how much room it's going to take up when it lands on the ground if we're landing in a really tight area. So having these augmented reality tools built into the Mavic 3 is really nice now. It's going to make navigating with this drone much easier. It's going to help improve your situational awareness and hopefully not lose your drone in the sky and just give you more peace of mind, just like the Vision Assist feature did. Now, moving on, the next change we have is Frame Guide, and they give you so many different options built into these settings here. So you've got CinemaScope, you've got vertical, you've got the 4:3 aspect ratio. You've got so many different aspect ratios now built into this drone. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to capture video natively in these resolutions and in these aspect ratios. You'll still have to crop after the fact in post, but it's nice if you can now line up your shot using those guides, especially when I'm shooting vertical video that needs to be posted, say, to social media like Instagram or TikTok. Now, the final change that's been made is the ability to toggle downward vision positioning on and off. So downward vision positioning allows the drone to hover more stably. It also allows it to see what's underneath of the drone and make changes necessary. For example, when testing out return to home and letting it come down and land, at first it was going to land like right on top of me and land like right on top of the bench, but it made the necessary change, moved itself over, and landed accordingly so it didn't land on top of me. So having this turned on is really helpful for a lot of different scenarios, but if you want to turn it off, you now have the ability to. And so that wraps up all of the main changes made here with this new firmware update for the Mavic 3. There are a couple of other changes that have been made specifically to the Mavic 3 Pro with the 3X and 7X cameras. So now with the Mavic 3 Pro, you can shoot 10-bit D-Log M and HLG using the 7X camera. So now you can better match colors between all three of your cameras, which is nice. And also the 3X medium tele camera now supports different shooting modes. So these are night shots, master shots, quick shots, and the spherical panorama. So overall, this is a winner of an update here for the Mavic 3. I'm going to be using Vision Assist like crazy, and now it's going to make me hate flying any other drone because I am just so used to using it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this update down in the comment section below, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.